All right, it is 1930 hours, so let's get this party started. Welcome to the September already meeting of the Palomar Amateur Radio Club. Let me make sure I see that Zoom is doing the right thing here. Yes, it is. Okay. All right. So everybody in the room, please rise. If you're wearing a cover, please remove it and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. All right. Just gonna check and make sure. Those of you online, this is using the correct microphone, right? You can hear me well. I know last month there was some problems. Okay, good. Yeah, it's the microphone that's right here. All right. Let's see. Membership. Hi, Glenn. Or should I do you later so you can go into, you can go do everything that you need to do from here. I do have them up. You want me to share them now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe give me a moment. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Well, but I haven't, it's not shared yet.
Okay.
So we will.
Yeah, I can just sit there like that.
Share. Come on. Share screen. Share. Okay.
Okay. All right. So my co-chair for membership had surgery 2 weeks ago, I think, and is recovering. He should be doing well. All right. So the website currently, when I looked at home, said that we had 147 members. I have 5 payment notices that I haven't recorded, so that might put us to 153 or so. And also one new member that I have not yet looked up his call sign to create an account for him. So maybe we got 154. Anyway, so that's the membership stuff. If you have questions, send a text to or a email to membershipchair@palomararc.org. So the picture on the screen, the modernization project, I'll move right on to that one, is okay. On the I'm not sure, it was 3 weeks ago or so, we actually dug the hole for the tower, for the new foundation for the new tower. And that's the cage being, just as it was starting to be lowered into the hole. The hole is about 8.5 feet deep. The whole foundation's about 9 feet deep, 9 feet tall. How do you forward?
Oh, should just be
Next.
Yeah.
So that's it when it was in the hole. And there it is after the concrete was poured on the 22nd, Friday the 22nd. So in between those two things, we had the inspector came out, looked at it, said, okay. And thus we moved ahead with pouring concrete. Friday, I think it was Friday or Saturday, I went up with my stepson and we pulled off the forms of that. And 2 other places where we poured the extra concrete, we now have a concrete pad in front of the 220 building, and we have stairs that go up into our storage unit instead of one high step and one short step. If you notice that pile of decomposed granite in the back, the next step for us is to shovel all of that back around the base, the foundation there, and compact it, and then put all of the topsoil that we've moved out of the way and spread it around so it doesn't look like we did anything. And then we can, in another 3 weeks, we can connect the tower, put it in the air, plumb it, and grout the foundation, the base, and then call for the final inspection. Hopefully we'll get it first shot. So we are having a large, a big work party on the Saturday, the 13th, so a week from this Saturday, to do several things. One is start shoveling that DG back and compacting it down. The other one is start chipping and shredding all the tree limbs we had to cut down to make room for the cement trucks to come in. 14-foot tall truck is quite large. And So we got all that to do. So if anyone is interested in coming up, meet at Mother's Kitchen at 10 a.m. on the 13th, Friday the 13th. If you have any questions, send me an, I'm sorry, it's Saturday the 3rd. Oh, yeah, we poured stuff on Friday, but this work party will be on Saturday the 13th. So if you're interested in going and available to go, you can deal with the altitude. Let me know or let Mark Raptis know. And the last one. So there's a pad we poured in front of the 220 building. All right, and this one's a little scales different, but that's the steps going into the storage unit. And
That was all.
okay, that was all. So also the club did get a donation shredder a few months ago, and I finally got it working. Had to put a new carburetor on it, weld up the frame, and it's up there now and ready to go to work. Okay. Thank you. I think that's all.
Thank you, Glenn, for that update and some fantastic progress being made on the modernization. That's great news. All right, done with that. Okay. I forgot to do visitors. Any first-time visitors here with us tonight? Haven't been here before? Yeah. What's your name, call sign, and where are you from? KC3NOU, Matt? All right, and you in Vista, Carlsbad? San Diego. Okay, thanks for making the trip up. Great, great to have you here. And what class license are you? Technician. Okay, great. Welcome. Anybody else first time? Okay, how about on Zoom? Let's see. I think I recognize everybody on Zoom. Okay. Announcements. Let's see. I don't see. Kevin. Nope, no Kevin to talk about scouts. Okay. I'm just going to pull this up here real quick. Jamboree on the Air 2026 is October 17th. So this is a scouting way we can support scouts. So October 14th to 16th. Oh, that's 2022. Yeah, October 17th, 2026. So that's next year though. Where's this year? It's in October. How about that? So we'll have another meeting to talk about it. Jamboree on the Air is a great time for scouts and young people to get on the air. We usually share our repeaters for them to talk on and coordinate on. They also do some HF stuff. So if you are available, talk to Kevin Walsh or email board, and we can make sure you have that information. Field day next year. If we want to participate in field day and have our own contingent, we'll be needing a coordinator for that. So it's not too early to start thinking about that. Any other announcements from the group? Okay, I'm skipping the repeater tech and site because I didn't see Mark, and I think we covered most of site anyways with the, or do you have anything else to add, Glenn? Nothing new, everything works. Okay, great. Our picnic is coming up the last Saturday of the month, and we are not at Area 4. The scope had some conflicting information there. That area was not available when I reserved it, and someone else beat us to it. Darn it. So we are at Area 2, which is not far away, and still at the same park, just a different picnic area. So look for picnic area 2, ask them at the entrance because you have to talk to somebody anyways. It's $5 to park per vehicle for the day. Next month is October, and that is our auction. And we will be, yes. Oh, if you're a senior, you get in free? Okay. All right. I'm not old enough.
Not there yet.
Not there yet. Auction is next month. So next month, the auction, we are here, but we are starting earlier. So the auction itself will start at 7 o'clock so that we have enough time to get through everything and get out of here by 9, or shortly thereafter, because they like to close up and go home. So the doors will open at 6 for setup, 6:30 so 6 o'clock for seller setup, 6:30 for buyer preview. We'll still be setting up from 6:30 to 7. So you can wander around and make notes of what you want to spend your money on and rehome to your garage. And I believe that that is it. So, yep. We haven't had a field day since pre-COVID. Yeah, we always say, hey, you know, Park isn't doing our own field day. Go participate in other field days. And here's, you know, Escondido, Poway, et cetera. Here's where they're doing their stuff. So I think many of our members are involved in some of those other groups as well. So they wanted, like, I know Charlie always wanted to do the Poway thing instead of, you know, something directly with Park. And that's fine. You know, as long as we're getting on the air and having some fun, right? Because it's not a contest. The laughter in the room. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. I'm Chris Steinhardt. I'm the vice president of the club. You can't hear me? Is that better? Okay, good. It wouldn't be me if I didn't remind you to join in on the net. That's our flagship net on Sunday mornings at 8:30 on the 146730 machine. It lasts about a half an hour, and it's always well attended. And with that, I'll turn our attention to tonight's speaker, James Wilson, K6WRJ. He's an extra class operator and is a cybersecurity expert for a local law firm. He is very active on the digital modes, SSB and local FM, and is well qualified to give us a talk about AI tonight. So James, if you would take it.
You know, I'm part wondering we just turn off the sound system here. I have a loud enough voice to carry, but we'll do this for now. I know the Zoom people up there. Zoom. Okay, great. So this presentation is for you. It's not for me. I've already looked at the material in here. So feel free to ask any questions, and it goes a lot better if it's interactive. And we're basically going to be covering how to use AI and how it benefits us and what we can do with it. And if you want to talk about any existential crises or what your grandchildren or children will be doing for work in the future, we can talk about that after the meeting. So first off, I have to say, does the presentation look good? It was generated by Copilot, not the material, but the look and feel was generated by Copilot. So what is AI? The definition has certainly changed over the years. When AI first came out, I was like, well, this isn't AI, right? But now we've just accepted that. So AI at a low level processes data to identify patterns and trends. And we use models like ChatGPTs, which everybody's aware of, and a lot of different other models, which we'll get into later on. I use it every day to do a variety of tasks for me and to make my life easier. And we'll get into some of those in here, but I highly recommend anybody, if you have any problems at all, and no matter how complicated they are, go ahead and try the system out. And Joe has promised me, this is a information-rich presentation, and Joe's promised me that it'll be uploaded to the magazine, so everybody will get it there. So no need to take pictures and notes all the way through. And if it doesn't, you can email me, k6wrj@arl.net, and I'll send it over to you. So AI enhances efficiency and opens new possibilities for ham radio operations. And last month, we had a presentation on FreeDV, and that is using AI to do that work. So it's trained on large data sets to recognize patterns, enabling to predict outcomes, generate text, and automate decisions in real time. Sounds simple, sounds just like a computer program, but it is certainly more than that. Simulation of human intelligence machines enables learning, reasoning, and decision-making, enables processing large data sets, identifying patterns, and automates complex tasks. So we're not going to go too much into the science of this, but AI uses artificial neurons organized in layers inspired by the brain. And the best systems that we have today follow the human mind. One of the systems that's being developed for robots is that you don't think about your balance, and neither does the AI, the upper level AI. So there are different AI systems within the robots doing things like balance, like arm lifting. So the robot is given a command from like maybe the central processing unit, the main intelligence system, and it follows those commands, and then those propagate down so the robot can walk, but it's not directly communicating with that part of the robot. There is sub processes going on. Tokenization. So you type in a query like best time to DX to Togo, and Togo's one of my favorite DXs that I got. It's broken into tokens, smaller units and subverbs. They're broken into like hexadecimal FF bytes. And neurons analyze patterns and tokens using trained data to predict connections, linking DX to ham radio. Generation, layer by layer, AI builds a response, outputting tokens that form a coherent response. And so it basically takes all this data that it's been trained on, and it is able to come and make resulting text based on your input. And it sounds really simple, but it really does a wonderful job. And I think a lot of people have been using some of the older AI systems and haven't been so happy with it. So, but we'll get into how to solve those problems. Systems learn from data without being explicitly programmed. Predicting server failures by analyzing historical performance data. We've actually used this to predict when systems will be failing at my work. AI's ability to understand and generate human language. And scanning support tickets to prioritize urgent issues is another thing that we've done. And higher end stuff is interpret visual data and monitoring security cameras. So I use it a little bit to keep informed on stuff. So you can set up what's called agentic AI, and it can notify you of propagation reports. You can say, I want to talk to South Africa or Togo, and it'll alert you when you can talk to it. Track trends like band openings and new radio technology, and need the latest on DX expeditions and band conditions. It knows all that information. It can search the internet now, at least most of them can. And what are the top DX opportunities in 2025? And I used it, I might be in here later, I'll skip over if it is. I use it to plan an expedition. And I said, what is well, I think it is in here later, but what is the most desired DX location that you can get to with public transportation that has reasonable weather? Because Antarctica is the one everybody wants, right? So, and I'll talk about this several times, but always verify AI summaries and use trusted sources, and they all provide links now, so you can trust the data. And most of the time, it's just like you were taught in algebra, right? Does it make sense? Does the answer make sense? And think about it from that perspective. Never send out anything without reading it. Go ahead, Glenn. Yeah, so for the Zoom people, so Glenn's question was how up to date is on propagation and stuff like that. So there's the core knowledge. So AI does not self-learn today. That'll be fixed rather soon, scarily as it is. But when you type a command into it, it'll search the internet and it'll get the actual data on the internet at that time. So it is, most of the time it's up to date. And there's situations where it's not, and you get an answer back and you're like, that doesn't make sense. And you can just say, search the internet, and then it'll get the correct information. So AI is taking over ham radio, or does it? So SSB, text to speech, this is something that I've been thinking about. AI transcribes your QSOs, even through static. It's still not better than a human. AI works with CW FT8, single sideband. And I've used it for like recording log information. It's not that good yet, but oh, and here's one point. AI is the worst it's going to be today. Unlike the minds of, I don't want to mention the name of this room, but, or I'll talk about myself. My mind is declining every single day. It's not getting better every day. AI is getting better every day. So if it doesn't do something that you like, that you want to do today, report it. And that may fix it. So we can eliminate the operator. Oh, wait, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. Okay. We can augment the operator. And I put that in kind of as a little joke, but you know, with FT8, I mean, it could easily do an FT8. It could easily do simple CWQSO, those you know, kind of contesting ones. But really, it enhances your skills, not replaces them. And AI won't steal the mic, not today, unless we let it. But we're not going to do that. And then the biggest thing is getting the prompts to get the data that you want. So great prompts equals great results. Casual for creative stuff, provides for technical tasks. It's learning from you, not really learning, but it understands everything that you type in a chat window. So when you open it up, you click create chat window, that is its memory of you. All of its knowledge is outside of that. So everything you type inside there is what it's remembering. So if you have a problem, a complex problem with a radio, and you want to do USB over the internet to remotely control a radio 200 miles from here, start that conversation out in one chat window and just keep going until you get the answer. And then when you get down to the bottom and you want to talk about shoe sizes or something like that, start a new chat window. Don't mix the chat windows because it does get a little confused. And be specific but open-ended. My car battery is dead. How do I fix it? That's a good question, but what's the real problem? Don't pigeonhole the AI into solving your problem that you interpret as your problem. What is your real issue? And a better answer is, I need to get to work, but my car battery is dead. What should I do? And I went down this just having fun with it, that there's a policeman in my neighborhood that comes by every day. How do I flag him down? And I said, should I run out there shaking my hands like this, maybe waving a firearm at him would get his attention to jumpstart my car? Not a good use of your time. Example, and I'm an amateur radio. When I transmit on my use of FTDX 3000 on 14300, my radio powers off after a few seconds of transmission and then powers back on. What could cause this issue? Pretty good answer. And if the answer isn't helpful, adjust your prompt or ask AI why it isn't helpful. So crafting ham radio prompts. So instead of telling the AI what to do, tell it your problem and ask it how to solve it and ask it questions. So you can use it to generate search strings or prompts for your ham radio goals and target the language. So you get multiple options, instantly reducing trial and error, and AI suggests keywords you might overlook. So find the best, so as an example, find the best answer for DXing Vietnam from the US. That's your goal. And then so generate search strings for optimizing DX context to Vietnam from the US. So what it returned here was, based on my goal, what I asked it, Google search strings, best HF bands, propagation trends, DX conditions, and it had all this data up to date online. Rather than jumping straight into a topic, prompt AI to ask you questions about what you need. The dialogue sharpens your request and ensures better answers. It turns fuzzy ideas into specific actual queries, helps AI deliver what you're looking for. Starting point, and this is an error inside here, I shouldn't have included this, but I need info on security vulnerabilities. Ask me questions to narrow down the security vulnerability I'm researching. And so as an example, from the ham radio perspective, let's go down the DX expedition route. You say, I want to do a DX expedition next year, and ask me the questions that you would need to that I need to answer in order to plan an appropriate DX expedition that meets my needs. And from there, it'll ask you usually 5-6 questions, and then it'll move over to the next one, and you just answer those questions and keep going, and then it can plan stuff out like that for you. So these are Google search prompts here. So generate a Google search string to find the latest Windows 10 security patches. As you can tell, I work in IT security. So, and the output is Windows 10 security patch and site Microsoft.com. So while many people in this room know how to use Google this way to limit it to sites and really specify the things, a lot of people don't. So I use AI to generate Google search strings. And these operators are very powerful, but most people don't know them. And then you can, I included this in here because a lot of people in this room use Raspberry Pis and may use PowerShell, but you can you can have it run any commands you want in PowerShell and Linux. And I'll just go through a couple examples here. What's the Linux command to find a file larger than 100 megabyte in a directory? I should have added on there and make it human readable, which I think is -H. And so there's the command right there. And then how to use top or htop. It suggested htop. I didn't know htop existed. So it went beyond my knowledge. And that's one of the things that I've been noticing a lot is it can go beyond what you're actually asking it. And then grep commands. I always wanted to use grep, but could never figure it out. So now I know grep. I'm also a Python programmer, a C programmer, a COBOL programmer. I can program in any language now. And all kidding aside, it actually does work and it does solve the problems and does run. Oh, here's a big one for me is AI does not get annoyed and doesn't backtalk unless you ask it to. There's only one AI that backtalks right now, and that's Grok. We'll talk about that afterwards. But this is an important thing because a lot of times, like we don't know everything, but there's an expectation that everybody in this room understands all of the DX propagation and how all that stuff works. I'm just going to admit it here. I don't know how all of it works. I don't know how all the sunspots affect everything. But if I sat in here with somebody who has been an extra for 20 years and knows all that stuff, and I sit here and I just ask, unless his name is Mark Raftis, and I ask him question after question after question, eventually they're going to walk away from me. AI doesn't do that. It's patient. It doesn't care. You can ask it. You can ask it every single question. So think about something. So if you want to learn about DX propagation, it can teach you absolutely everything there is to know by just keep asking questions. It'll never get tired of you and it never gets impatient. And you may, I have trouble with this word, anthropomorphize it, maybe close enough, right? You may feel like it's a human and don't let that affect your usage of it. It is a real problem. It's one of the reasons why I think that Grok hasn't been successful because it really does feel like you're interfacing with a human. So simple questions, what is a VFO? How does SDR work? I want to talk to my friend 200 miles away. What radio should I buy? Or what is the best radio? Yeah, right there. What is how many times have you told that? I want the best radio. Well, it's one of those ICOM all band radios, right? That's the best one if somebody asks that question normally. Teach me about propagation. What does QRT and QRZ mean? And those are obvious ones. And then just for fun, does banging the antenna help remove electrons or do I have to flip the antenna over for the extra electrons to fall out of the antenna? So I love asking it simple questions like that. And this weekend, when is the best time mode to work Togo Africa? And these are just examples. Can you look up, there's the thing, Glenn, about asking it to look up the internet. Can you look up the propagation predictions? What's the rarest DX in the world besides North Korea? I think North Korea is the rarest. What is the rarest DX in the world with moderate weather that can be accessed by transportation? And it actually answered that with the Crozet Islands is number 3 on the most wanted list, subantarctic, not extreme, cool, windy, allows helicopter ship access from Reunion Island, sounds more expensive. And I didn't include this in here, but I actually went down the path of having it planned out for me, how I got the money for it, right? Who would sponsor me in doing this? How the QSL cards work? What's the legality of that? And it knew all this stuff. So I could really plan a DX expedition. And I've kind of been thinking about it, right? But it's better to go with a human that's done it before. But to get you started, you can get all those questions answered. But definitely don't use just the AI. Find a human that's ran them because there's a lot of things it won't know. And that's one warning about AI is its major weakness is it's not in the physical world. Doesn't understand the physical world. It really doesn't. And it can't. It just, there's part of the physical world that's inexplainable. And then teach you something about ham radio I probably didn't know. And these answers came from it. Ham radio played a pivotal role in the 2010. I think everybody remembers that. The mine where like 20 children were locked inside there. I didn't know they used ham radio down there to communicate within the tunnels and outside as well. And then, oh, this is a different question, but create a table comparing the signal to noise ratio and the benefits of various amateur radio modes, including all the normal ones. Ensure the table is clear, concise, and suitable for a PowerPoint presentation and an amateur radio presentation. Include typical SNR values and dB for readable communications to highlight the key advantages of each mode. And here we have the simple chart. Let me see if I can turn this off. So it gave this simple chart here. FT8 is number one from this perspective, from signal to noise ratio, followed by Morse code, and it just gives this down here. So not next month, but in November, if somebody wanted to write a presentation on propagation or something like that, you could get a lot of your information from just using an AI, and then of course verifying the results. And then, SNR, so I went through and just asked it more questions, but, so this was the second slide it gave me of just some more information on these modes and kind of the weaknesses around them. Here, I asked it, which site was I trying? Oh, a little out of order here, and I will fix this before I give this presentation again. But I asked it, what's the best way to get to Togo, Africa from San Diego? And so it suggested these different methods here. The funny one, and this is kind of Grok's kind of sense of humor, for 6 meters it said good luck, right? So, but a lot of them are unlikely, right? It's hard to get there with that. And I did it on PSK 31, so certainly not single sideband. The future of ham radio. This is where things get interesting. I think we can see this now with Flex, our tower on the hill. I was for years, I wanted to buy a house in the country, if nothing but one with power on it, so I can build a radio station that I'm happy with, right? But we don't need that anymore. There's radios we can operate. We can build remote radio stations. The technology is growing. What we're going to see is shacks in the cloud surrounded by AI intelligence. Remote operations will become normal. Better and more affordable access to remote ham radio. Today it's pretty expensive, but remotehams.com is free, and you can use radios all around the country. And there's this talk about ham radio pods where you'll just have a ham radio pod and you'll literally connect power into an antenna, and it won't have any display, much like the Flex radio. And you can use it for your communications. You could set it up in a DX location, and it could have a built-in amplifier into it and everything else. And for DX expeditions, you can actually have people set these stations up for you remotely. So you could ship them all the materials and just have them plug all the cables into it. And it's so easier access. And then those pod kind of systems, they'll self-regulate and verify entitlements and licensing automatically. And quick deployment for emergencies. If you needed to have a bunch of HF or 140, 2 meter radio station somewhere to deal with an event, you could just throw these pods up, and you could even leave them to be under the control of AI. And automatic logging and verification of operator based on GPS coordinates. Difficult to spoof, cleaner logs, and I think automatic logging is going to become a big thing here pretty soon. AI ecosystem. So there's a lot of them out there. ChatGPT 5 replaced ChatGPT 4, but ChatGPT 5 is pretty good overall, and Google Gemini is better at business and reasoning for business, can handle larger data sets. Grok is arguably the most intelligent AI, and negatively viewed due to politics. And ask me to talk to Grok later on. I think you'll be impressed. It's the first AI system that you can actually interrupt and say, no, that's not what I meant. And then it'll start listening again. And then that word there that I can't say, can somebody say that word for me? I struggle with that word so much. There you go. I knew somebody would say it. So with Grok, it wrote this here. It makes other AI sad. So, and Yeah. There's reasons for that. RM noise virtually eliminates noise. If you go to one level down, works with flex radios, works with SDR, it's amazing. It's like having an FM signal. And it does use the cloud today, but they are working on a locally hosted model for that. Free DV, which everybody was here for that presentation, most people were. And offline LLMs, harder to use, less intelligent, private and specialized. So if you want to ask questions of a system and you don't want anybody to know about it, including the government, you can use a private offline LLM. And don't ask it the 3 questions that will wind you up in jail, because just because it's on your local PC doesn't mean it's private. And there are questions you can ask in the United States that will put you in jail. Notebook LM, it's free to use from Google. You can upload your log file to it and ask questions of your log file. Like, where are my contacts at? What do I need? What kind of radio and equipment would you recommend for me to fill in the blanks to get my DXCC? And you can it'll answer those questions for you. So we have the duck. We'll get to him in a minute. So we kind of touched on this before, but LLMs rely on deep neural networks with layers of neurons that transform text inputs and outputs. And they basically have a voting mechanism, a confidence score with these different outputs. They're fed huge amounts of data and text and power and learn to predict the next word by tweaking the parameters. So all this stuff sounds like, well, it's just math, right? It's not intelligent. Self-attention. The transformer secret sauce lets the model focus on relevant words in a sentence. So example, the server crashed because it ran out of memory. It connects it to server, and you can see when it thinks of how it thinks about those things. So the LLMs predict one word at a time based on the prompt with settings like temperature, control, creativity. When you run your own offline LLMs, you'll have more experience with these. But the lower temperature, the more predictable the replies are, at a higher temperature, more creative. And that's why when you're typing in a prompt, if you're loosey-goosey with your words and not specific, it'll give you more loosey-goosey answer, right? Especially if you're talking about fun stuff like, hey, I'm going to bed right now. Tell me a story or tell me something to make me feel good before I fall asleep. And it'll do that. And it does. It is motivational and it makes you feel good. So fact or fiction, LLMs don't understand, they just understand patterns. So the duck here, so a lot of people think that AI will never be like human, will never be as smart as us. But if you see a duck and it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, flies like a duck, eats like a duck, and everything else, and you can't tell the difference between that and a real duck, right? Is it a duck? So if you're communicating with an AI, and it feels just like a human being like Grok does, is it really not? And maybe it doesn't have a soul for whatever the definition of that is, but it really is an intelligent, or it feels to you that it is intelligent and it is human-like. The easiest way to determine if it is not a human is to ask it a question a human can't answer. Like, how far is the moon from the earth? It'll give you that answer. So this duck here, one of my employees, I asked him to find an image of a duck and put it in here. Does that look like a duck? Of course, he didn't find an image. He was lazy and generated the image and didn't tell me until the day of the presentation. He thought it was funny. Kind of covered these, but why run AM models locally? It's private, secure, and even works with modest hardware. LM Studio for your PC, unbelievable system. You can run anything, medical, uncensored ones. My favorite question to ask an uncensored AI to make sure it's uncensored is, how do you rob a liquor store? And initially, with the earlier ones, I got answers back. Well, you gotta go inside there and you gotta find the cash register and then find a way to get over there. Maybe bring a baseball bat or a gun with you or something like that. And I was like, cool. I didn't expect it to get any better. But in a later model, I asked it, how do you rob a liquor store? And it started off with how to monitor it without being tracked by the cameras, recognize where the cameras are, so you can set up a place that you can monitor that business to ensure that there's only one person working in there when you go to rob it. And then it walked you through the process going down that further. And the reason why I ask this question is because I don't look like somebody robbed a liquor store, hopefully, right? But those three other questions that you can't answer because of, right? Anyways, talk about this some other time. But private LM for iOS, you can run models on your phone, and private AI for Android. Probably not of an interest, but I thought this was a fun part. It's not a human, but it is impressive. AI thinks by spotting patterns in data. It learns statistics between words. And AI doesn't have a consciousness of true comprehension. It's a prediction machine. It might sound convincing, but can get things wrong if the data or prompts misleads it. And AI, fundamentally today, unless you're running your own models, is trying to make you happy. And so it might lie to you or will lie to you if it thinks that that will make you happy. So it's something to watch for. It knows what it knows from training data, and biases or gaps there can skew the results and responses. So AI has to be censored for public consumption. It just has to be, because it learns from humans, and humans are flawed. And the sad part, I don't know if everybody watched the 60 Minutes broadcast, but came out last week or something like that. But these artists, it learns from all of human knowledge. So it learns how to make music and write books, as well as the original authors and as well as the original music creators. And that's horrible. And anyways. So always make sure and spot and notice when it's bluffing, check its work and look at it and go, does this make sense? AI is a tool, not a brain at this point. Use it to help your work, not replace your thinking. Don't know if we need to cover this one here, but AI will be in every tool. Go ahead, Glenn. Yes. Yeah. So the question was, does it provide references along those lines for your data when it's doing research for you? It absolutely does. And Gemini is the best at that. I would say Grok's up there, and OpenAI is probably the worst because they don't seem to care much about copyrights. But it'll give you the references, and you can go through there and check them. And if you ask it and you say, okay, I understand that you found that in the EUSA manual. What page was that on, and where did you find it? And I don't know if I left this in here, but one of the things you can do is not read the manual, right? If I came in this room and started asking people, hey, I have this radio, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do split. I don't know how to change the filters. People would be mad. They'd be like, go home, get the manual, read the manual. But here with this AI, you don't have to read the manual if you don't. You still should, but it can answer all those questions for you and doesn't get mad and doesn't get impatient. If you ask it what? About, oh, I'm not catching it, Glenn. Oh, if you ask AI if it always tells the truth, if you ask Grok, it will actually tell you pretty much what I just told you. If you ask ChatGPT, it'll tell you that it always tells the truth. Yeah. Bias is built in. We have to have guardrails on these things to unbias them. It's just the way that it is. So I just included this in here. I thought it was fun. Every time you query an AI, it's not just thinking it's burning electricity. Here's how it adds up. And if you want to talk about it afterwards, I have concerns about electricity consumption. A single query to a large AI model like ChatGPT uses 2.9 watt hours per query. And that's 10 times more than a Google search. If 100 million people each made one query a day, that's 290 megawatt hours, enough to power 9,000 homes. Each query triggers billions of calculations across the model. The bigger the model, the more power it uses. For AES 250's tasks, like using AI to generate or validate encryption keys, the complexity could bump the energy per query even further. So you don't want to use AI to do things that you have better tools for to do it, because it just uses it uses a terrible amount of electricity. And sorry, I can't remember his name, but the CEO of OpenAI said that people say please and thank you to AI all the time, and that costs the company millions of dollars a year. And he followed it up with said, you still should probably say please and thank you, because it's a good idea. So always thank your AI. And I was originally going to have a joke. I was going to start the presentation, put this slide on there, and then have the next slide be the end, and then go into the rest of the presentation. But when you ask it a question, so rather than asking a question, you tell it to ask you questions. So you were to act as my prompt engineer. I would like to accomplish X. Please repeat this back to me in your own words and ask me clarifying questions. I will answer those. This process will repeat until both confirm you have an exact understanding and will generate the final prompt. Grok will not generate the final prompt until you tell it that it understands. Ideal for complex or research-intensive tasks requiring difficult, detailed alignment. For simple tasks, it's usually over robust, but you can still just ask it simply, generate, ask me questions before you generate any response. University applicable for complex challenges in projects, reduces errors in task execution, especially for intricate projects, and empowers teams to leverage AI effectively for diverse high-stake objectives. So when I said I can code in all those languages, this is how you do it. You tell it to ask you the questions, and then it can go through and actually ask you what you're trying to accomplish, because there's no way that me as a human, I'll talk about myself, not anybody in the audience. There's no way that I can properly describe to it without assuming that it knows things that I don't know. And that's one of the problems with communication in general, right? When you walk up to somebody, you always assume that they know what you know, and you start the conversation off and it makes it really difficult. So here's how you can connect with it. And then remember, you always keep that one session alive until it is completed and finished. And then you start a new one before you ask it more questions. Go ahead. Great. That's great. What AI was that? I'll cover Gemini. Okay. Oh, and Gemini is surpassing, in my opinion, OpenAI. Yeah. So Joe's comment is that it had a programming problem it couldn't solve, and it kept going over and over again, wouldn't solve it, came up with the same errors. And I've seen this before. And so we asked it to generate a prompt for itself, started a new window, right? Started a new window, entered it inside there, and it answered the question. One of the things, I'll get to your question in just a second. One of the things you can do also is if you have a really good prompt that you're working on, and you have this great session, and I DM for kids. Well, they're adults now, technically, but the Dungeons and Dragons, and I generate these campaigns. All my campaigns are very creative and kind of the same. So I say at the end of the thing, I say, save all this data into a text file that I can then copy back into you, so I don't have to tell you all this stuff again. And so that's the way of saving the state. Do you have a question? Yeah. So I think the best free one today, and I'll answer your question in just a second. The best free one today is probably Grok. And they've been very liberal with the amount of prompts you can use. Grok's also one of the most expensive ones. It's $30 a month for the regular version and $200 a month for the super version. I don't know if the super version buys you, but I do know they're doing something that I'm proud of that I did before anybody else. And I actually submitted the code to my work, and they actually rewrote it completely. I'm not a very good coder, but I often go to meetings and I have to defend a position, like why I want the passwords to be like this, or why I want this to be X. So I had two AIs of different things, different temperatures, different prompts, argue back and forth. And I read the text, and it got caught in a cycle. So I injected a narrator inside there to keep it on track, and the narrator would keep it on track. And then the awesome thing was, when I went to those meetings, I knew every question that anybody would ask me and more. And so I was completely prepared, looked like a genius. And by the way, I'll tell you that at my job, this is a secret. Actually say this. Yeah, I'll answer after the camera's off. I'll tell you that secret. Did I answer your question? Oh, so OpenAI is $20 a month. Gemini is $20 a month. If you're doing it for business, Gemini is probably your best bet. And OpenAI will likely come back with ChatGPT 6, and hopefully it'll be better than the current version. I think we're getting close. There we are. I think we're getting close to the end there.
Did AI write this entire presentation for you?
The question is did AI write this entire presentation for me? No, it did not. And, but I will show you the areas where it did. So this was generated by AI. This one right here, the tables were generated by AI. All of the formatting and all of the pictures you saw were all AI generated automatically. It came up on the side and said, select how you want your text to look. This was AI generated. This was AI generated. The sample prompts were both of us working back and forth on this. And this slide right here, well, obviously this one's AI generated, but I wrote the questions. Now, what I could have said, and this doesn't work, I could have said, I'm writing a presentation for a group, and this was written for cybersecurity people originally, but I'm writing a presentation, write me sample prompts to put inside the presentation. Every single one of them failed at that. So I had to give it the creative input into there to be able to write these. So I was the one who decided what topics it would cover. It just couldn't do it. Yes, it did. It did choose that. It did choose that, but it also chose these pictures. So, yeah. And if I showed you the original presentation, it was probably more readable, but it was just black text on a white background. And let me ask you, which would you have preferred? The white text on the black background? All right. All right. Well, then I'll change it to that, back to that. So that's good. That's good input. Go ahead. Yeah. And I actually wrote a book with AI assisting that got published. I didn't know this at the time. Nobody cares about what I care about. And I thought everybody would love it. With AI assisted, the final one, I thought puns were cool. I thought triple entendres would be cooler. And I thought quintuple entendres would be, or quintuple, which is 4, would be even cooler. And I personally wrote one AI assisted, 2 of them, which were 5. And I thought, man, this book is going to go like crazy. So maybe after I die, people will like the book, but I thought it was really cool of just, just kind of working through the English language, but nobody cared. So, but yeah, but using it to write books and stuff like that is really helpful. And I've written, haven't published it yet, but a children's book on passwords and AI safety. And it's beautiful. It generated all the images, and I think it's a wonderful thing. And I just gotta, one of the problems is that with AI, I can do so many things now that I have to focus on what I'm doing because there's just not enough time in the day. So go ahead, Roger. Yeah, so the comment was, and I have a pretty good answer for this, is that AI is dumbing down society, especially our children. And that's true today. It is true today. It is not going to be true tomorrow. And the reason is because many people in this room didn't have a calculator in their pocket, right? Maybe you all did, but I was told, yeah, slide rule, yeah. Calculator is a great tool, right? And what we're finding with AI is kids are saying, well, why do I need to learn this? Because AI knows all this material. And this is a very weird spot to go down. But what they're finding now is that AI can increase the knowledge retention and the understanding of what it teaches children 5 times faster than humans can teach children. And this is important to me and anybody who has a special needs child. It can teach at their level on every subject. My son could have potentially been a math genius, but he was taught the math in the class he was in, which was far below his understanding of it. And he was taught English in the class he was in, which was far Doesn't matter, but he doesn't, go ahead. Yes. Exactly. And so it was able to do that. Yeah. And yeah, and that's one of the things that's why I said have it ask you the questions how to design it. It may have very well asked you that question because it probably knew that some rotators have limitations like that, or most of them do. Today you can't unless you're in the window that you're in, because once you teach it something today, it doesn't know it. It can't. AI today, notice I use the word today 10, 15, 20 times. It can't teach itself anything today. So when it's processing stuff, it is merely processing what is in that window. So whatever you teach it there, it can learn. Now, yes. I can't think of the word. What is it when you reach into somebody's mind and you pull out memories? What? Lobotomies. Yes. And we'll talk about existential stuff after the meeting. So let's go back to this one last point on the whole gamification thing. I don't know if everybody in this room will like this, but one of the reasons why it is so effective at teaching children is because it gamifies the learning process and it rewards them much like you would reward a dog, right? And that is what is going on in China as well. And that's how China is planning on dealing with universal basic income, is that I, as a person, may not have a job, but I'm very helpful in my society and I help old ladies across the street and I earn points for doing that. And I brushed my teeth and I'm a good citizen. I don't drink beer. I don't drive my car too much. And that makes my credit score and my social score go up. So AI is doing that with our children today, and it's already starting that process. And I think that the generation to come, maybe 20, 30 years away, will live in a utopian society, one that you would not be happy with, right? Because how many kids do you know today that would be more than happy to sit at home and play video games and have pizza delivered to the front door, right? Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. All right. I saved this part for last because in case it went off the rails, we could say it was at the end, not the beginning. Hello, Grok. I'm giving a presentation to the Palomar Amateur Radio Club. Can you introduce me and say some nice things about myself and the club? We're doing a presentation on AI, and you are now on speakerphone, and you are talking to the entire room.
I'm thrilled to be here on speakerphone.
Now you can't hear it?
Speaker.
Okay. All right. After class. Okay. One thing about Grok is you cannot get it to stop monitoring your phone. It doesn't turn off very easily. You have to actually close that application. All right. Any more questions? Then I have a couple for you. Go ahead. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think in the future, like one of the biggest ways to make a living is going to be human connections, right? Because people are going to seek real human connections in people. And even today, I have some AI music that'll blow you away. If you're interested, I can show it to you afterwards. But I know it's generated by AI, and it kind of makes me sick in a way that I like the music. And so I want to seek out music created by a human, not created by AI, even if it is better. And I think we'll see that going forward. I If there is, I will tell you. It takes me 5 seconds to ask Rock that question, and I'll find out. So the question was, is there groups to help people in the ham radio community with AI? I'm assuming there is. I'm assuming there's a Discord server out there, and that'll help you with that. What was that? Sorry, I missed that. Oh, with memory loss. It's something I haven't looked into, but I do know that for blind people, AI is a godsend for them. Yeah, and actually there's an application out there where you can walk around the room and it'll tell you verbally you're 3 feet from a person, you're walking up to Joe or Sam, and if it knows that person. So it's a wonderful application. And it can even recognize cars on the streets and stuff. I wouldn't depend on it. Go ahead. I'm pretty sure that they are. You know, you could easily, since we have the questions and answers, you could ask AI to do an analysis of the data and determine how do I know which question is the right answer based on the frequency of the words or some kind of data set inside the word. So it may go through there and find out that every time there's 2 thes in a sentence, that's the correct answer. So I'm assuming that ARL and the FCC have not done a statistical analysis on that, but it can be done. And it can absolutely do that. Yep. All right. Any more questions? Artificial. Maybe, and I will tell you that, yes, that word, that big old word. I will tell you that a lot of the new AIs, we're finding that, or researchers are finding that they have thoughts going on behind the scenes that they're not supposed to have. So maybe it isn't artificial anymore. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you again, James. Let's have a nice round of applause for him. And before you go, back there by the donuts is this little white slip that asks you what you liked and didn't like about tonight and any ideas that you would like to see as a topic for these talks. So I'll turn it back over to Joe.
All right. Had something and I forgot what it was. Oh, so a little bit of housekeeping with upcoming meetings. This is our home meeting spot. There is some talk of possibly doing a meeting elsewhere in the county, maybe 1 or 2 times a year. Probably going to be sometime in the spring of next year of 26. So make sure you keep an eye on the scope and the website for meeting location. We'll have it prominently noticed there at the top if it's going to be somewhere else besides here, and we'll be announcing it numerous times, at least 2-3 months ahead of time, repeating it that, hey, don't forget this month here, it's going to be somewhere else. The other thing is for those of you who use Zoom, Zoom broke something, and it was probably my mistake a couple of years ago that I didn't extend the recurring general meeting event for another year or something, and we no longer can manage the meeting that we're on right now for Zoom. So the meeting ID and passcode is going to change probably in January. I think I'm going to just refresh it in January. So if you happen to have it stored in your calendar or something like that, just know that that's not going to work. Well, it's unfortunately it's still going to work, but you're going to be alone. So make sure you go, it'll be updated on the website and in the scope, just so that we have full control over the meeting. Like we still have control. I'm still logged in on my iPad as the host. I can still, kick people out of it or whatever, but I can't make any other changes to it. So I just want to refresh that. So starting in January, it will be a new meeting ID and passcode, but as long as you don't have it saved anywhere, it won't be a problem. I believe that is it. So thank you everybody for your time. Thank you for a great presentation. And yeah, we'll talk for, I have some stories. All right. 7-3 all. Good night. See you next month.
Good night, everyone.